Hey, how's it going guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we decided to actually try and test out the local market in 2021, and for 280 bucks, we think we did pretty good.
The PC market's kind of crazy right now. Building anything is really difficult, and it's been a while since we looked on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist to see what kind of deals we can find, and well, this is what we ended up with. But before we get into that, let's hear a word from today's sponsor.
Today's video sponsor is Opera GX, the world's first browser designed for gamers. This web browser is especially useful for gamers because of what they like to call GX Control. GX Control allows you to limit the resources that the web browser uses to give more performance to your games. For example, if you hit the GX Control button here, you can limit the amount of bandwidth that the Opera browser takes up. You can also limit the amount of RAM that the browser takes up, and also the CPU usage, giving your PC more performance. Gone are the days where other web browsers, Google Chrome, takes up all your RAM resources, making you have to upgrade your PC just so you can have a Twitch stream on in the background. There also is baked-in Twitch integration so you can follow your favorite streamers much more closely, like us of course, and be able to see when they're live right from your web browser, along with messenger integrations like Facebook Messenger and Discord so you can keep in touch with your friends. My favorite part of this browser is how customizable it is and the baked-in dark theme. I absolutely love dark themes. There is also baked-in Razer Chroma support, so if you are using some Razer products, you can get even more customization. So what are you waiting for? Check the link in the description down below today and download the Opera GX browser. You will not be disappointed, and let me know how it affects your gaming performance in the comments down below. Special thanks again to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get into the video, shall we?
So to start off, I'll say exactly what I looked for. We checked Facebook Marketplace, we checked Craigslist, we also checked like OfferUp and Letgo. Basically, I ended up doing Craigslist for this, Facebook for this, got really lucky, and we'll talk about this build in a minute, but we got a full PC build that works, Windows 10 installed, ready to go, and it's actually a custom build to an extent. It's not a pre-build. I was looking at some Optiplexes, which would have made this video not quite as interesting, but this is a lot more fun that we were able to get this for 200 bucks.
We'll talk more about the specs here in a minute, but basically the concept was we just wanted to see what we could do right now given everything going on in the world. We could do a traditional PC build that's overpriced, but we thought we'd show you all that if with a little bit of patience and deal hunting, you might be able to put something together for really cheap, and considering all this is around $280, I think we made out pretty good. So how about we go ahead and break this stuff down and see what we got.
All right, so I'm gonna be honest, I don't totally remember everything in this build, but I got a pretty good gist of it. So starting off, you'll notice we're actually in a Corsair mid-tower case. Now, this case can actually accept a full ATX board, but we actually have a micro ATX board installed. I don't remember the exact case, we'll have it on screen. I think it's a Carbide series, and it's also a quiet series. I think it's like an H700 or something like that. But Corsair case nonetheless, it does just have a regular side panel, which is actually backed with some foam. So this really is a quiet series case. They weren't lying. Two 120mm fans installed. We do have a DVD disc drive installed. Hey, maybe that's worth like 20 bucks to someone. We have plenty of expansion for hard drives and whatnot. We have an Intel i3 6100. That's a 2-core 4-thread. To give you an idea, it's on par with an i5 2400, which is a true quad core. Not that great, but it is 6th gen and 7th gen compatible, so we could technically slap in an i5 and i7, pretty much anything that we want, make this build a lot better, but the i3 will be plenty for the graphics that we're pairing with. We have two 4GB sticks of Crucial RAM, and it is 2133 MHz DDR4, which is nice. We have a Gigabyte GA-H110MA motherboard, which is a pretty cheap board. It's kind of like the equivalent of an H410 for 10th gen. And the power supply is actually not too bad either. It's an EVGA 430 watt, 80 plus white power supply. It has kind of the ugly sleeve cables, but you know, hey, at least they're actually sleeved and everything. This thing with a little bit of cable management, with us slapping in the graphics card, which we spent $80 for, and we'll talk about in a second, I think that we will not have a problem, you know, selling this for, you know, maybe 400, even 450 cash. So that's pretty cool that we were able to buy this with cash. And it could even be a flip build, or if you're just looking to scrounge the used market, this is something that you might stumble upon.
All right, and for the graphics card, this is a GTX 780. Quite an older card nowadays, but in terms of today's standards, it's about like a 1063 gig level card. The only downside with these cards is the fact that it does require more power, which we do believe the 450 watt should be fine, but 700 series is pretty power demanding. So long term, it might be better to have a different power supply, and I just realized this heat sink on this thing.
Oh.
So
it's
yeah.
Nice and bent.
The heatsink's kind of bent, so it it needs a little bit of love. I don't know if this like is supposed to be making contact at all with these components, but anyways, it is here and it should be working. I see an unplugged fan connector. We'll figure this out in a minute. But $80, we ended up paying $100 so the guy would actually deliver it to us because we didn't want to drive all the way out to where he was. But yeah, I mean this is.
Wow, it might be like a non-working GPU at this point.
Yeah,
Let's
so
find out, right?
we'll see exactly what happens. The guy guaranteed Jackson it was working really great, but this fan is not too promising. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I mean 780. If it works, it's gonna be great. But we'll just go ahead and try to put this thing together and see if it boots.
Hi guys, Future Matt here. The graphics card ended up not working, so because of that, we had to start hunting for a new graphics card, and this whole video just took a total change. Originally, it's supposed to be like a normal PC build guide, but of course, since the graphics card was not working, we had to find a new one. So what you're gonna see is a kind of vlog style video now, which we haven't done in a long time, where we're actually gonna be hunting for a new graphics card and try to make this build actually work again. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Okay guys, so we're here to actually find a graphics card replacement, and our fellow staff over here is enjoying some games. I mean, look at them, being some gamers. But yeah, they're playing over here. But we were promised some quesadillas from my man
I know, like he
McAllister
literally,
over here.
okay, Zach, because you're the third party. Did McAllister not come in and say, oh wait, you know what? He said it, the stream. It's on stream.
Oh,
He
stream
came
mod.
in and said, I brought enough to make everyone one quesadilla. I got the pot, the pan.
That's what you said. You did say that. I can confirm
you
that.
also,
It's got that non-stick pan. So we
How-
actually have
so-
a
so
stovetop.
what are we making today?
It's quesadillas.
Ooh.
Really?
So I cooked up chicken this morning. I wrote down there.
He's making quesadillas, guys.
Quesadillas. They're
Quesadillas.
busy enough for me to have one. Just not a ton. I'm gonna put a lot of chicken.
Look at McAllister.
I'd
coming in
rather
with
have
cooking
3.
stuff.
For the past, like since we moved in, you said, man, I'm gonna love cooking for everyone now that we have a
I don't know
stove.
why I brought food for the last 3 days, and now I'm getting attacked for bringing it.
It's just
one
different
day.
when you're
Yeah.
cooking something or you're putting something together. I know it's like,
quesadillas. Like I'm gonna bring the ingredients so I can have a quesadilla.
okay.
I always thought you were like a really good person.
But he's just not. But yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and do some hunting real quick and see what we can find. So what's going on here, Jackson?
So this is the type of painful stuff that you have to see. Looking to trade or sell these two components. So we have a 450 BV EVGA power supply, which, you know, okay, pretty dusty, it's old, and a 1060. He wants $550 for both. Like, this is the type of crap you have to deal with right now on Facebook Marketplace.
So it's not too promising right now. I know you said you were in talks with somebody for a 1060.
EVGA GT 640, $100. Oh, look, a 3080 for $1,175. 1070 Ti for $300. That's not like horrible, but that's also in Indiana. I don't even want to know.
That's a whole PC.
800 for a 1060 plus 8 gigs of RAM, like PC. I'm sure it's awful. 3060 Ti for $650. That's pretty bad, but it's not terrible. We don't need anything like that. Okay, this is reasonable. 1080 Founders Edition, the same price as a 1070 Ti. Why? Doesn't make sense. Couldn't tell you, but you know, it is. They want $200 for a 1063 gig that is 3.5 years old, and that's $225, and I'm like, you know what? Here, let's show everyone in the thing something real quick. MSRP. MSRP. Oh, look at that, MSRP for a 3 gig, $199 when the card came out. What is wrong with people? Like, okay, let me go sell my iPhone 6 for $1,000.
But yeah, right now we're looking at someone with a
He
deal
said he
on
has
it.
both.
All right, so he has a 1070 Ti for $275, which isn't that
Here's
bad.
what we're gonna do. I'm gonna see if I can get a bundle deal for both of these
Okay.
cards. We'll use the 970 in this one. We'll save the 1070 for something else. So he wants 275. So what is that? Is that 500 bucks? 400 bucks? Plus 275. Okay, so that's 400 bucks.
What do you think, like 350?
350.
350. Throw a 350 offer at him.
Would you go up?
All right, 350 for both. Going once, going twice. So yeah, we got a counter offer from the guy who had it listed for $400. He countered with $400.
I literally just messaged him and said, isn't that the same price you're asking? Like, what's the point of buying in bulk if you...
You're so mic'd
But
up.
I just hate how we sell stuff for less than it's worth. And then we got people over here This guy's trying to hustle for a 970 and a 1070 Ti. Like, bro, you're 3 generations old and you're trying to hustle.
So yeah, if you can tell,
He
this
said,
whole
yeah.
day-
I said, isn't that the same price you're asking? He said, yeah. I'm just gonna say I'm good.
So yeah.
Okay.
He said I can do 375. He said, yeah, I think we went to high school together.
Oh my
I'm gonna
God!
be like,
Who is
can I get him
this?
for 200, bro?
Be like, bro, you signed my yearbook.
I said, I'll do 200.
I said, okay, then 200 for those who could not see that. This man's trying to hustle you, and he knows who you are.
He said, nah, bro, LOL. All right, guys, so a lot has happened since yesterday when we were previously filming this video. You guys remember, we had a GTX 780 that it's over, I don't even know what we did with it, but it didn't work. It was just royally messed up. We can't really get our money back. It was a cash deal. I don't know who the guy is. So that was $75 down the drain wasted. 100 if you include shipping. And then we talked to another guy about getting a GTX 970 and a 1070 Ti. Now where we screwed up was it said MSI 970 gaming. Our minds just went to, or at least my mind went to a GTX 970, like an MSI brand one. Well, he meant an FX motherboard for an 8350. We didn't want that, so we ended up just buying this 1070 Ti off of him. It's an older card, it's a reference style one. Nonetheless though, it does work. We've already tested it. Now, the main issue is the budget of this build now. It's not bad. It's gonna be $475 because we paid $275 for this. A good price for a 1070 Ti right now, by the way. But the main issue is that's an i3, that's a 6th gen, it's like the equivalent of a 2nd gen i5. So this really doesn't make a lot of sense. However, if you plan on upgrading a build like this in the future, this can actually be a really good, well-balanced build. Maybe we'll even see if we can find a 6th or 7th gen i7 off of eBay for when we actually list this build. But for now, we're gonna do some benchmarks once we actually get all this put together and see how it does.
Guys, look at it. She's put together.
It doesn't look half bad. Cable management's a little bit difficult. On any older case, they did not used to like running stuff behind the actual board. A lot of you guys will notice if you ever had an older case, they don't even have a back panel that comes off. This one though is pretty cool. It has one that comes off, has a slight bulge to put cables, but other than that though, there's not a ton of cable management you can do. We did our best, and honestly from the front, it's a pretty presentable PC, but the good news is, / bad news, this PC doesn't even have a side panel because it's the quiet series anyways, so we'll test how quiet it is and also how good the airflow is once we actually play some games.
So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and load up our benchmark drive, play a couple games and see how she performs, and then just wrap this video up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have this awfully weird local PC build all put together, let's talk about some benchmarks real quick. Now, we decided to test this PC in a couple of titles, those being Fortnite, Doom Eternal, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now let's go ahead and get this out of the way. We definitely know that this build is very bottleneck city, but again, with everything we went through to get this PC build put together, yeah, we're just happy it actually works. It launches, we can play games, and well, we can experience the prime example of CPU bottleneck. First up in Fortnite on performance mode, well, we had a weird experience. Dropping into the game, we were experiencing a ton of stutter. It was really difficult to actually get into the game, and once we did and landed, our FPS did settle down. We were at over 100 FPS, but this is an example of where performance mode does have its drawbacks, because in performance mode you are lowering the textures in the game, which makes the game more CPU dependent, and the fact that we have a beefier GPU, it probably would have been better to run on higher settings. On higher settings we would have had a lower FPS number, but it would have been more stable around maybe like 60 to 70 FPS. But on performance mode, the bottleneck was definitely there. Even though you did get 100 plus FPS, it was kind of a stuttery mess. Next up is Doom Eternal, and Doom, well, with its Vulkan API, just shows how great that API is. We actually got 100 plus FPS on high settings because the 1070 Ti was actually able to stretch its legs, and the Vulkan API really helps out older CPUs. It just really makes them like magical for some reason. So 100 plus FPS on Doom Eternal, I kind of expected that because every single PC we test for some reason does really well on this, even if it has a lower end CPU. So hey, 100 plus FPS, if you're wanting to play Doom Eternal, this PC would definitely work for that. And lastly, we tested Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which on high settings, we started to see the CPU bottleneck again. That poor i3 is pretty much pinged at 100%, but we averaged around 56 FPS, which is technically playable, but again, no one in their right mind would go out of their way to pair an i3 6100 with a 1070 Ti. It just does not make any sense. But for the sake of this video and the fact that we wanted to make this a video, I'm just glad the PC worked. We probably will end up putting something like an RX 570 in this PC when we end up trying to resell it because, well, we're trying to recoup some of our money, but it was still cool that we got that 1070 Ti for a decent deal, and we ended up looking like idiots because we thought we were getting a GTX 970 also, when clearly looking back at the footage, we were clearly getting a 970 gaming motherboard. So good thing we didn't pick that thing up. We got the 1070 Ti for a decent price, and given everything going on in the world, I think this kind of content is what we're going to continue to do in the foreseeable future, just to try to mix things up a little bit from your standard PC build that you most certainly cannot buy. So overall, had a fun time putting this PC together. How about we go to bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
All right, guys, so we're finally getting to wrap up this very fun and unique experience, which these local builds are always a fun and unique experience.
In this situation, we thought we were getting another GPU that would have made a little bit more sense with the i3, but we ended up with a 1070 Ti, and the build is definitely a little bit of bottleneck city, as you can see from the benchmarks, but, well, we managed to do it. The price isn't that bad, and with a CPU upgrade, hopefully this thing will perform really well and work as a selling PC over on our PC Bros business, so check that out if you're interested. You might be able to get this PC if you actually want it. Yeah, performance was not as bad as I thought it would be, but it was still definitely bottlenecked.
So hopefully we can do some searching around and find ourselves an i5 6500 or some sort of i7 that will go with the system and complement it much better so that we can play 1080p games and actually get medium high settings in most games.
So overall, fun experience. Always like checking out the local markets whenever we can. Hopefully they get a little bit better, just like everything else around the world, because it's not too great right now, but I am happy with what we put together.
So if you guys haven't already, don't forget to check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. And hey, if you guys are doing any local builds right now as well with everything going on, let us know in the comment section down below what you have put together, what you're planning on putting together. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. So if you guys haven't done so already, you should definitely follow us over on Twitch.
We do monthly giveaways over there where for 12 hours we live stream. We build a PC on this set here, and then midway through the stream we give it away live. We give away Steam gift cards. We even give away Amazon gift cards and stuff during our streams, and we stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. We have a lot of stream days and a lot of chances to win things. So make sure you go over there and follow and subscribe.
So if you're just watching on YouTube, you're missing out on a lot of content. Link in the description down below. Goodbye.